Mastering keyframe animation opens up a host of creative possibilities when editing videos. Text can be made to move and change size. Transitions and effects can be tailored to suit individual situations. Colours can be made to change, etc., etc. In this video, I want to concentrate on the absolute basics of keyframe animation. What are keyframes? How do they function? How are they manipulated? For viewers who know little or nothing about keyframes, and if you're watching this, chances are that this includes you, a brief explanation describing keyframes and how they work is in order. Wikipedia defines a keyframe as a frame used to indicate the beginning or end of a change to a parameter. If we expand that definition and apply it to a non-linear editor such as Movie Studio Platinum, we can say that a keyframe is a particular frame of a media event where certain parameters of that media event are made to change their value. Two or more keyframes can be used to cause a particular parameter to change over time, resulting in animation. A media event can be a piece of video from a camera or a piece of video that's generated within the NLE, such as a title. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to concentrate on the titles and text media generator that's built into Movie Studio Platinum. Welcome to tutorial number 20. Okay, I'll make a start by placing a titles and text media event onto the timeline. Firstly, I'll say that a number of inbuilt animations are available by accessing the drop-down arrow in this box. I'll just pick something at random, place the playhead at the beginning of the media, so there we go, that's a sample of the animations that are built in, that are available. But we're not going to use any of those today. So I'll just select none. Now you will see that down the right hand side of the titles and text media pane, there are a number of icons labelled Animate. Wherever there's a parameter with an icon at the side of it, that means that that particular parameter is capable of being animated. Clicking the Animate button turns on animation for that particular parameter. Now there are two basic ways a parameter can be animated. I call these analog animation and digital animation. Analog animation is when a parameter changes gradually between two keyframes. Digital animation is when a parameter changes at a keyframe, then holds at that value until the next keyframe, where it changes again. Most of the title and text parameters change in an analog way, but there are three that change digitally. These are the text parameter, the anchor point parameter, and the shadow enable parameter, which is down here, that one. I'll just show an example of that with the text string. I'll just change that to something a little bit more beefy. AR Julian. I'll bump up the font size a little bit. Now I will switch on animation. This opens up the keyframe controller. A keyframe is generated at the beginning of the event, and there is a corresponding value point. This value point corresponds to the font AR Julian. I'll just move the playhead further along the timeline. You'll notice with this icon selected here, sync cursor to media timeline, the playhead on the media moves to the same relative position on the media event. I will now change this font. The text must be highlighted to enable the font to be changed. I'll change that to Arial. This will immediately place another keyframe in the controller and another value. You'll notice that the value is in red, and this indicates that the particular animation is a digital one. I'll just play that now. You'll see that it changes to Arial in a digital way. I will just show you the context menu. You'll see that all the control parameters are greyed out. It's fixed on hold, and what hold means is that the font will be set at this keyframe and it will hold until the next keyframe, when it will change. This kind of animation applies to all the sub-parameters of the text parameter. The font size, the bold attribute, the italics attribute, and the justification attributes. Now, if an animate icon is enabled and it's clicked, then all the keyframes associated with that parameter will be deleted from the keyframe controller. In fact, because there was only one parameter enabled, the keyframe controller disappears. I'll now show you an example of an analog animation. Again, I will change this to AR Julian. change the font colour to blue. I'll now turn on keyframing, clicking the Animate button at the side of the text colour. Leave the playhead there and change the colour. Now you can see what's happened there. Starts off at blue and gradually changes to yellow. And that's what I mean by an analog animation. I'd just now like to talk a little bit about the keyframe controller. We have several icons at the bottom. We've already talked about the sync cursor icon. This icon moves the playhead to the first keyframe. This icon moves the playhead to the next keyframe. This icon moves the playhead to the previous keyframe as it's labelled. And this one moves it to the last keyframe. I'll place the playhead here, and this one here will add a keyframe. Once that keyframe is set, I can change the colour to set the colour at that keyframe. I'll just place another one here. And change the colour again. And this keyframe will delete it. The time value here shows the position of the playhead relative to the beginning of the media event. The media event is 10 seconds long, so the playhead is at 9 seconds, 1 frame. The icon here zooms in on the timeline. The two icons here allow you to navigate through the timeline and also move quickly through the timeline. And this one zooms out. We'll enable another parameter. This places another label in the keyframe controller and allows the text to be scaled. I'll place the playhead there and adjust the scale. This places another keyframe in the controller and also a value point. If I right click the value point, you will see now that all the animation controls are available. But I shan't be going through this right click menu today. I will just play that. You can see how the text increases in scale. I will just remove that animation. You will see that the label has gone and all the keyframes have gone. Now you will have noticed two labels down here, lanes and curves. These options only come into play when certain parameters are enabled. If I just enable the location parameter, and open that out, you'll see that the location parameter has a label in the keyframe controller, and it has an X and Y coordinates. So I can place the playhead there and move the location and you can see now that these two options have been enabled. The lanes option is this display and the curves option is that display. Again, I shan't be dealing with this in this tutorial. Another thing to mention is that any of these keyframes can be moved by left clicking on the keyframe and moving them. Well, I think that's about enough detail for this introduction to keyframe animation. If it's whetted your appetite for more, simply open Movie Studio Platinum Help and search for keyframes in the index. You'll find loads of useful information. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, bye for now.